Hello and welcome to this video titled Learning to Learn, Tips from Neuroscience. We all know that learning is an important part of our lives. But have you ever thought about how to learn how to learn? In this video, we will focus on just that. We will present tips from neuroscience that can help you learn more effectively and efficiently. We will discuss how our brain learns, what is the best learning environment, what learning methods work, and how to improve time management while learning. Additionally, we will explore how nutrition, exercise, and sleep affect learning. By the end of the video, you will have many valuable tips to learn how to learn and anchor your knowledge better. So let's get started right away. Our brain is a complex organ that performs a variety of tasks, one of which is learning. But how exactly does our brain function when it comes to learning? Essentially, our brain takes in information from the environment and then processes it in various ways. There are several areas in the brain responsible for learning, such as the hippocampus, which is responsible for storing new information. Learning occurs through the formation of new connections between nerve cells in the brain, known as synapses. When we learn something, new synapses are formed and existing synapses are strengthened. Another important feature of the brain during learning is plasticity. This means that our brain can change and adapt to process new information and experiences. This ability allows us to constantly expand and improve our knowledge and skills. Understanding the basics of brain function when it comes to learning is the first step to effective and efficient learning. In the next sections, we will look at how to create the right learning environment, which learning methods are best suited, and how to improve time management when studying. How our brain receives and processes information plays a crucial role in learning. There are several processes that occur during the acquisition of information. Firstly, information must be received by our sensory organs. Sight, hearing, touch, taste, and smell all play important roles in learning, and each of these sensory modalities is significant. The received information is then stored in short-term memory, where it is held for a brief period and then assessed to determine whether it is important enough to be transferred to long-term memory. To transfer information to long-term memory, it must either be repeated or associated with something we already know. This process is known as consolidation. If the information is successfully consolidated, it can be retrieved from long-term memory permanently. Another important aspect of learning is how we process information. We can process information either superficially or deeply. Superficial processing occurs when we only focus on the external appearance of information without understanding it. Deep processing occurs when we concentrate on the content of the information, attempting to understand and connect it with our pre-existing knowledge. Understanding how we receive and process information is an essential factor for successful learning. It is therefore advisable to consciously engage with this topic and adjust one's learning methods accordingly. When we learn, our brain goes through various processes that help us absorb, store, and later retrieve new information. An important process is the processing of information through the sensory organs. For example, when we read a text, our eyes pick up the information and send it to the brain. The brain then has to process this information and give it meaning. Another important process is the formation of synapses between nerve cells in the brain. When we learn something, new synapses are formed or existing synapses are strengthened. Through these connections, the brain can process information better and later retrieve it more easily. An important factor in learning is also the emotional processing of information. When we establish emotional connections to information, we often find it easier to remember it. For example, we can often remember a story better if it has emotionally touched us. Another important process is the feedback system. When we engage with new information, we often need feedback to know if we are on the right track. Feedback can help motivate us and deepen our understanding. Understanding the learning processes in the brain is crucial for developing effective learning methods. By understanding how our brain absorbs, processes, and stores new information, we can develop learning methods that aim to optimize these processes. Creating a suitable learning environment can help make learning more effective and enjoyable. In this section, we will explore how to create an environment that supports learning. Firstly, the layout of the room plays an important role. A well-lit and tidy room can help improve concentration. It's also helpful to have a comfortable seating position and enough space for all the required materials. It's also important to avoid distractions. Noise, light, and movement can easily distract us and disrupt our learning. Therefore, it's advisable to learn in a quiet environment and turn off distractions such as TV or social media. Another important factor is motivation. When we are motivated, it's often easier to concentrate on learning. One way to increase motivation is to set goals. When we have a goal in mind, we know what we are working towards and can better focus on our work. Active learning is about actively engaging with the learning material, rather than just passively absorbing information. This can take the form of tasks, quizzes, or other interactive methods. One advantage of active learning is that it allows you to better remember the material. By actively engaging with the material, you create connections in your brain and better anchor the knowledge. Additionally, it is often easier to remember information that you have actively processed. One way to promote active learning is to ask yourself questions. By asking questions about the material, you actively engage with it and deepen your understanding. Another method is to rephrase the material in your own words. This helps you actively process the material and deepen your understanding. In summary, active learning is an effective method for better remembering and understanding learning material. By actively engaging with the material, you create connections in your brain and better anchor the knowledge. By asking questions and rephrasing the material in your own words, you deepen your understanding and can make faster progress. In addition to active learning, repetition and consolidation are important components of successful learning. The goal is to retain what has been learned in long-term memory and have it readily available when needed. One way to repeat and consolidate the material learned is to review it regularly. This can be done through summaries, mind maps, or flashcards. By reviewing the material regularly, one can ensure that they don't forget what they have learned and retain it in long-term memory. Another way to consolidate the material learned is to search for examples and applications. By applying the material in practice, one can deepen their understanding and better comprehend it. Creating one's own examples or explaining the material to others can also help to deepen understanding. Visualization techniques are another method to make learning more effective. It involves visually representing information to promote understanding and support memory. One way to use visualization techniques is to create mind maps. Central concepts and ideas are noted on a sheet of paper and connected to each other. This technique can help recognize connections between different ideas and promote understanding. Another way is to represent the learned material in images or diagrams. If one remembers visual stimuli, it can activate memory and make the learned material easier to remember. For example, one can create a graphic that illustrates a complex idea or concept. In this technique, central concepts and ideas are written down on a piece of paper and connected to each other. This method can help identify connections between different ideas and promote understanding. Another way is to represent what you've learned in images or diagrams. By remembering visual stimuli, you can activate your memory and better remember what you've learned. For example, you can create a graphic that illustrates a complex idea or concept. Mnemonic techniques are learning methods that aim to help remember information better and recall it more easily. Frequently, memory aids or tricks, such as mnemonics, are used to facilitate learning. One widely used mnemonic technique is the so-called loci method. This involves associating the material to be learned with various places that can be well stored in one's memory. Then, by mentally imagining these places in sequence, one can recall the associated information. Another method is the acronym. Here, the initial letters of the words or terms to be learned are combined to form a word that is easier to remember. A well-known example is the acronym H2O, which stands for water. Effective time management is especially important when studying in order to optimize the learning process and save time. Here are some tips that can help you better plan your study time and use your time more effectively. Effective planning. In order to study effectively, it is important to set goals and create a study plan. It's important to set realistic goals and break the learning process down into small steps to avoid becoming overwhelmed. Setting priorities. It's important to know which tasks and learning content need to be prioritized. Focus on the most important and urgent tasks in order to make studying more effective. Use study breaks wisely. Learning requires concentration and endurance, so it's important to take regular breaks. These breaks should be actively used, for example by exercising or doing relaxation exercises, in order to refresh the mind and improve concentration. A healthy diet also plays an important role in learning. Our brain requires certain nutrients to function optimally and maintain performance. Here are some tips that can help provide the brain with important nutrients. Eat a balanced diet. A balanced diet with a variety of foods can help provide the brain with important nutrients. Complex carbohydrates, protein, and healthy fats are particularly important. Eat regularly. Regular meals help maintain stable blood sugar levels and thus ensure a constant supply of energy to the brain. Drink enough water. Our brain is largely composed of water and therefore requires sufficient fluid to function optimally. Adequate water intake can help avoid fatigue and difficulty concentrating. Get enough sleep. Adequate sleep is also important for optimal brain function. During sleep, the brain regenerates and stores newly learned information. Exercise can be beneficial not only physically but also mentally, and therefore can also help with learning. Here are some tips on how exercise can support the brain. Exercise promotes blood flow to the brain, thus increasing the supply of oxygen and nutrients, which can lead to better brain performance. Endorphins are released through exercise, which can improve mood and reduce stress and anxiety. Exercise can contribute to improving long-term memory by promoting the growth of new brain cells. Tips for exercise breaks while studying. Stand up and stretch. Taking a short break to stand up and stretch can help release tension and increase blood flow in the body. Take a walk. A short walk in the fresh air can help regenerate the brain and recharge energy. Do yoga or stretching. A short yoga or stretching session can help increase concentration and well-being. Learning how to learn is a lifelong task that anyone can master. By applying the right learning methods and creating a suitable learning environment, everyone can improve their learning ability and effectiveness. In this video, we presented important insights from neuroscience that can help you learn better. We showed you how to use your brain to the fullest and how to create a learning environment that helps you concentrate. We also demonstrated that a healthy diet, sufficient exercise, and enough sleep can support the brain in its work. Finally, we showed you how to plan your time effectively and set priorities. We hope that you have taken valuable tips and recommendations from this video that will help you in your learning process. Remember that learning is a lifelong task, and you can always learn new skills and develop yourself. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We look forward to seeing you again next time.